podcast, we are going to explore the topic of dialysis. Dialysis is one possible treatment for kidney failure. It is an essential treatment for people whose kidneys cannot keep the concentration of urea and salt at an optimum level to ensure that tissue damage does not occur. A patient is linked up to the dialysis machine, and their blood flows into the machine. The machine contains a fluid that is designed to have the optimum concentrations of salts such as sodium and potassium ions and also glucose, as would be found in a healthy person's blood. The patient's blood passes over a partially permeable membrane in the machine that is designed to replicate the kidney tubules. The dialysis fluid on the other side of the membrane is on the other side of the membrane, and this establishes a concentration gradient, allowing excess ions and urea to diffuse from an area of high concentration in the patient's blood to an area of low concentration in the dialysis fluid. I have a question for you. What diffuses from the patient's blood to the dialysis fluid via a concentration gradient? That would be ions and urea, and they move down a concentration gradient. The dialysis machine is designed to replicate the kidney's function. So the dialysis machine is made up of a fluid, which has the optimum concentrations of fluids, and it has a partially permeable membrane. And the patient's blood passes on one side of this membrane, and the dialysis fluid passes on the other side of the membrane. So then the concentration gradient is set up between these two fluids, and then you get exchange of materials between them. There are advantages and disadvantages to using dialysis. Here are the advantages. Dialysis is a life-saving process, and it gives a patient more time to find a donor kidney, which can be difficult. The disadvantages are that it lasts 3 to 4 hours and is needed 3 times a week, because this is taking up a lot of time. It also increases the risk of blood clots and infections, and it's also expensive. So there are pros and cons to dialysis. And one of those examples is that dialysis must be performed at least 3 times a week. But it is an essential treatment for people whose kidneys can't keep the optimum concentrations of urea and salt. If the concentrations of urea and salts are too far away from the optimum, there may be tissue damage to the patient.